Welcome back to the channel Coin Star everyone, and welcome if this is your first time here. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cents that has captured the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people checking their spare change, the 1 cent 2008 Lincoln penny, a coin that on the surface looks like an ordinary copper-colored cent with a face value of just 1 cent. Yet beneath that simple appearance lies a fascinating world of history, minting secrets, rare errors, mint mark mysteries, and incredible possibilities that in extreme and highly special cases have pushed its legendary value into discussions as high as $2 million, making it one of the most searched and top-view Lincoln penny topics on YouTube today, because people everywhere want to know how a single cent from their pocket change could possibly be worth more than luxury cars, houses, or even entire businesses, and this story begins with the legacy of the Lincoln penny itself. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, becoming the first regularly issued United States coin to feature a real historical person, symbolizing honesty, unity, and the ideals of liberty that appear boldly on the coin alongside the famous phrase "In God We Trust." And by 2008 the Lincoln cent had already undergone decades of changes in metal composition, minting technology, and design refinements, yet it remained the most widely produced and circulated coin in America, setting the stage for rare and dramatic mistakes to slip through unnoticed, especially at high-speed mints like Denver, where the D mint mark on the 2008 penny tells us it was struck in enormous quantities, often running into the billions, which paradoxically is exactly why extremely rare errors can exist, because when production numbers are so massive, quality control becomes a challenge and tiny deviations can turn into numismatic legends, and the 2008 Lincoln penny is especially important because it sits at the end of an era just before the major design changes that came in 2009 to honor Lincoln's life, meaning it represents the final stretch of the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse that collectors had grown up with, adding emotional and historical weight to any unusual example discovered. And when we talk about the possibility of a $2 million valuation, we are not talking about a normal circulated 2008 cent, which is worth just 1 cent or maybe a few cents if uncirculated. We are talking about ultra-rare error combinations, mint mark anomalies, dramatic planchet mistakes, and transitional metal errors that align perfectly with pristine condition, strong eye appeal, and documented authenticity, because value in coin collecting is never random, it is created when rarity, demand, story, and condition collide in a way that almost feels impossible, and one of the most exciting possibilities surrounding the 2008 Lincoln penny involves mint mark errors, where the D mint mark may appear doubled, repunched, malformed, or even partially missing due to die wear, grease-filled dies, or misaligned hubbing processes, and while minor mint mark issues are often common and worth little, extreme and clearly documented mint mark errors that are one of a kind or part of a microscopic group can ignite bidding wars among elite collectors who specialize in modern error coins, especially when the coin shows sharp details everywhere else, because clarity in the error itself is crucial, and beyond mint marks, one of the most powerful value-driving factors is the presence of major die errors such as dramatic double dies on the obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, the date 2008, or the motto "In God We Trust" show strong visible doubling that can be seen without magnification, something far beyond machine doubling, something that proves the die itself was misaligned during hubbing, creating a true double die variety. And while famous double dies are often associated with earlier years, modern double dies that are bold and undisputed are far rarer because of improved mint technology, which is exactly why a strong 2008 double die penny would be considered extraordinary, and collectors would line up to authenticate and grade it, pushing values into the thousands, hundreds of thousands, or potentially more if the example is unique. And then there are off-metal errors, one of the most thrilling categories in all of numismatics, where a coin is struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a penny struck on a dime planchet, a foreign planchet, or even a leftover experimental or transitional metal blank. And in 2008 the United States Mint was producing cents composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, making any deviation incredibly rare. So if a genuine 2008 Lincoln penny were discovered struck on a solid copper planchet, a bronze alloy, or another unintended metal with documented proof and correct weight, it would instantly become one of the most important modern Lincoln errors known, especially if it passed certification by a top grading service, because off-metal errors connect directly to the secret inner workings of the mint, revealing moments when the system failed in spectacular fashion, and these failures are exactly what collectors crave. And even more dramatic are wrong denomination errors, where a penny design appears on a planchet intended for a completely different coin, creating a surreal hybrid that looks almost unreal, and when such a coin is tied to a high-interest series like the Lincoln cent and confirmed from a year like 2008 with massive production numbers, the contrast between common origin and impossible result drives value to extreme levels, and another path to legendary valuation lies in massive strike errors, including broad strikes without collars, multiple strikes where the coin was struck two or more times with shifting alignment, or partial strikes that leave part of the design missing yet sharply detailed where it did strike, because these errors show the physical chaos of the minting process, frozen in metal, and when combined with the Denver Mint mark in a pristine uncirculated or near-perfect state, the visual impact alone can turn the coin into a museum-level piece, and condition cannot be overstated, because even the rarest error loses value if the coin is heavily damaged, corroded, or cleaned, which is why stories of million-dollar pennies always involve coins that look almost as if they were never meant to circulate, coins with blazing surfaces, sharp rims, strong luster, and minimal handling marks, coins that appear frozen in time from the moment of their accidental creation, and beyond physical errors. Collectors also chase legendary anomalies like mules, where two mismatched dies are paired together, such as a Lincoln cent obverse with a reverse intended for another coin entirely, a mistake so severe it defies logic, and while confirmed mules are exceedingly rare, the mere possibility of one from a modern year like 2008 fuels endless searching, endless YouTube views, and endless excitement, because the idea that such a mistake could slip through modern mint controls feels almost mythical, and yet history has shown again and again that the impossible does sometimes happen, and the Lincoln penny has been at the center of some of the most shocking discoveries in American coinage, and the $2 million figure often discussed represents the absolute top-tier hypothetical value for a perfect storm coin, a 2008 D Lincoln penny featuring a dramatic and undisputed mint error, possibly combined with an off-metal planchet, authenticated, graded at the highest levels, visually stunning, and unique or nearly unique. Because uniqueness is the final multiplier in value, when collectors realize there may never be another chance to own such a coin, they push prices to levels that defy logic, driven by passion, competition, and the desire to own a piece of minting history that should not exist, and this is why the 2008 D Lincoln penny continues to dominate searches and views, because it lives at the intersection of everyday familiarity and extraordinary possibility. It is a coin that people actually find in circulation. Unlike ancient gold or limited mint proofs, meaning anyone could theoretically stumble upon the next great discovery, turning pocket change into life-changing wealth, and that dream is powerful, fueling countless stories of people checking jars, rolls, and inherited collections, hoping to find that 1 cent that looks just a little different, a little heavier, a little off-center, a little wrong, because wrong in the world of coins can mean spectacularly right, and the Lincoln penny's deep connection to American identity only adds to the appeal, because Lincoln represents honesty and perseverance, values mirrored in the patient search for rare coins, and when liberty and in God we trust appear alongside a dramatic error, it creates a poetic contrast between national ideals and human imperfection, captured forever in metal, and it is this emotional resonance, combined with the technical mystery of minting errors, that makes the story of the 1 cent 2008 D Lincoln penny so endlessly fascinating, so shareable, so clickable, and so valuable in the world of collecting content, because even if most examples remain worth just 1 cent, the knowledge that a few extraordinary pieces could be worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even up to $2 million keeps the legend alive, reminding everyone watching that history is sometimes hidden in the smallest places. The most talked about and mysterious modern era coins: the 1 cent 1993 D Lincoln penny, a small everyday coin that most people once spent without a second thought, yet certain rare examples of this penny have ignited the imagination of collectors worldwide, reaching legendary attention with stories of values climbing as high as $9 million, and this video is all about understanding why, how and what possibilities exist behind such an extraordinary number as we explore the history condition. Minting quirks, human mistakes, mechanical errors, and microscopic mint mark irregularities that separate an ordinary 1-cent coin from a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So stay with me till the end, because the truth behind this penny may change the way you look at every coin in your pocket forever. Now, to truly appreciate the 1993 Lincoln penny, we must first understand its background. The Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in United States history, introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, and by 1993 the design had already been in circulation for more than 8 decades, making it deeply familiar to the public. Yet familiarity often hides rarity, because when billions of coins are struck, the smallest deviation can become incredibly valuable, especially when unnoticed. At the time the 1993 D penny was minted at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small d mint mark located below the date on the obverse side, this year falls into the era when pennies were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a composition introduced in 1982 to reduce costs. But this change also introduced new opportunities for errors and mistakes that did not exist in earlier solid copper coins, and that alone sets the stage for why some examples of the 1993 D penny can become astonishingly valuable under the right circumstances, while most 1993 D pennies are worth face value and are still found in circulation. What transforms an ordinary cent into a multi-million-dollar rarity is not age but imperfection. Errors that occur during the minting process are the heart of this story, because coins are mass-produced at extremely high speeds, and when machines malfunction, dies wear out, or human oversight occurs, coins can leave the mint with characteristics never intended by design, and collectors pay extraordinary premiums for these anomalies, especially when they are dramatic, rare, and verified. Now, one of the most powerful value drivers associated with the 1993 D Lincoln penny is the possibility of wrong planchet errors. During this period, the United States Mint was striking coins of different denominations using different metal blanks, and in extremely rare cases a penny could be struck on a blank intended for another coin, such as a dime or even a foreign planchet. If a 1993 D Lincoln cent were discovered struck on a silver planchet or a copper alloy not intended for that year, the value would increase beyond imagination, because such errors are incredibly scarce, often unique or known in only 1 or 2 examples, and when uniqueness meets strong collector demand, auction results can soar into the millions, especially when bidding wars erupt between elite collectors and institutions. Another major factor that contributes to extraordinary valuations is the presence of transitional metal errors. In 1993, pennies were officially zinc with copper plating, but if a penny were struck on an older copper planchet left over from pre-1982 production, this would represent an illegal metal composition for the year, and such transitional errors are among the most prized categories in numismatics, because they represent historical overlap between minting eras, and the 1993 D copper penny, if verified, would instantly become one of the most important Lincoln cent errors ever discovered, pushing valuation estimates into staggering territory, approaching the multi-million-dollar range when combined with exceptional preservation condition and authentication documentation. Then there are double die errors, which occur when the coin die receives more than one misaligned impression from the hub, resulting in visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. A strong double die on the date 1993, the word Liberty or I in God We Trust, or even Lincoln's profile itself would significantly raise collector interest, and if the doubling is dramatic and clear under magnification, such a coin would be considered elite-level collectible, especially if no other comparable examples are known. With the D mint mark, because scarcity within a specific mint is critical, collectors often specialize by mint and year, and a unique double die exclusive to Denver production in 1993 would be fiercely contested at auction. Another category of error that can propel value into extraordinary levels is off-metal strikes, such as a 1993 D penny struck on aluminum experimental planchets or other test metals historically used by the mint for research purposes. Although extremely unlikely, these anomalies have appeared in other years and denominations, and when discovered they cause shockwaves in the numismatic community, because they were never meant to leave the mint and represent accidental survivors of experimental processes. And when combined with modern grading services, scientific metal analysis, and documented provenance, the market can respond with record-breaking prices. Then we move to mint mark errors, which are a critical component of this story, because the D mint mark on Denver coins was punched into the die in earlier eras, and even during later years inconsistencies could occur, such as repunched mint marks, rotated mint marks, filled mint marks, or completely missing mint marks on coins that should have won. If a 1993 penny intended for Denver production shows evidence of a mint mark anomaly, such as a ghost image of a D over another mark, or a filled D that appears distorted or doubled, it could create a unique classification that collectors crave, because mint mark errors combine both location history and mechanical failure into a single visual clue, and if the error is dramatic enough the value climbs rapidly, especially when paired with other errors on the same coin, which collectors call a multiple error coin, and these are exponentially more valuable than single error coins. One of the most intriguing possibilities often discussed among collectors is the wrong reverse or wrong obverse die pairing, such as a 1993 D penny accidentally struck using a die intended for a proof coin or another year or even another mint if a mismatch occurred, resulting in design elements inconsistent with known 1993 production. The coin would become a puzzle piece of minting history, and puzzles drive prices because collectors are willing to pay for the story behind the metal. Beyond design errors, strike errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes and double strikes also play a role. If a 1993 D Lincoln penny were struck significantly off-center, showing full date, mint mark and major design elements while missing a large portion of the planchet, it would already be valuable, but if combined with an additional error such as a double strike where the coin was struck twice at different angles, the uniqueness skyrockets. And uniqueness is the foundation of million-dollar coins, because the market at that level is not about affordability but about ownership of something no one else can have. Condition also cannot be ignored, because even the rarest error loses value if heavily damaged by circulation. However, if an error 1993 D penny survived a near-perfect mint state condition with full luster, minimal wear and sharp detail, the grading score assigned by professional grading services would magnify its appeal exponentially, because condition rarity layered on top of error rarity creates a perfect storm for extreme valuation. Another powerful driver behind the legendary $9 million figure is the speculative nature of elite coin collecting, where headlines, auction records and historical comparisons influence perceived value. When a single coin sells for a record amount, it redefines expectations for similar coins, and if a hypothetical or privately traded 1993 D error penny achieved a confidential sale or was valued by experts based on comparable rarities, the number itself becomes part of the story, fueling interest, demand and future bidding wars, which is why people continue searching through rolls, jars and inherited collections hoping to discover something extraordinary, because these discoveries do still happen even in modern times. Human mistakes and machine errors have never completely disappeared from minting operations, and each year new varieties are discovered, often decades after release. Another factor is public fascination with Lincoln pennies themselves. They are among the most widely collected coins in America, with millions of collectors worldwide familiar with the design, which means demand is always strong, and when demand is strong, prices respond aggressively to rarity, especially when media coverage, social sharing and online videos amplify awareness, which brings more eyes, more bidders and more competition to auctions and private sales, pushing values higher and higher beyond what traditional price guides ever predicted. It is also important to understand that face value means nothing in the world of numismatics. A coin's denomination only reflects its intended use, not its historical or collectible significance. A 1-cent coin can be worth millions because collectors are not buying spending power, they are buying rarity, history, artistry, error and story. And the 1993 D Lincoln penny, when paired with extraordinary minting anomalies, represents all of these elements in a single object, which is why it continues to generate so much excitement, discussion and speculation. The most shocking and fascinating stories in American coin collecting: the 1-cent 1986 Lincoln penny, a small everyday coin that almost everyone has seen, touched, or even ignored. Yet hidden among these ordinary copper-colored cents are extremely rare error pieces that can be worth up to $5 million, and in this video we are going to explore the incredible history, the design, the minting process, the mistakes, the mint mark errors, the dramatic possibilities, and the real reasons why this humble 1-cent coin can be valued millions of times higher than its simple face value of just a single cent. So stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear might completely change how you look at the coins in your pocket forever. Now let us begin with the story of the 1986 Lincoln penny itself, a coin issued during a time of transition and experimentation at the United States Mint, a period when rising metal costs, technological changes, and massive production demands came together, creating the perfect environment for rare and valuable mint errors. The Lincoln penny of 1986 continues the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it one of the most iconic and longest-running coin designs in United States history. By 1986, the obverse still featured the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the year 1986, while the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and at first glance the 1986 penny looks completely normal, identical to millions of others minted that year, but the true story lies beneath the surface and within the details that most people never think to examine. During 1986 the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to meet circulation demand, and these coins were struck at multiple mint locations including Philadelphia and Denver, with Philadelphia coins carrying no mint mark and Denver coins bearing the D mint mark. However, what makes 1986 particularly interesting is that it sits within a critical era of composition changes, quality control challenges, and high-speed minting that dramatically increased the chances for errors. The Lincoln cent had already transitioned in 1982 from solid bronze to a copper-plated zinc core, consisting of 97.5% zinc with only 2.5% copper plating, and while this change saved money, it also introduced new technical problems, such as plating issues, bonding failures, weight inconsistencies, and striking anomalies, all of which can turn an ordinary 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. Now when we talk about a 1986 Lincoln penny being worth up to $5 million, we are not talking about a regular circulated coin that you casually find in change, we are talking about extremely rare error specimens, mint mistakes, and unusual strike anomalies that exist in unbelievably small numbers, sometimes only one known example, and in the world of elite numismatics rarity combined with demand can lead to astronomical prices. One of the most important categories of high-value 1986 penny errors involves wrong planchet errors. These occur when a coin is struck on a metal planchet intended for a different denomination or composition. Imagine a 1986 Lincoln penny accidentally struck on a bronze planchet left over from pre-1982 production or on a foreign or experimental blank. Such an error would instantly become legendary, because by 1986 bronze pennies were no longer supposed to exist, yet history has shown that transitional errors do happen, and when they do, collectors are willing to pay enormous sums. If a confirmed 1986 penny struck on a solid bronze planchet were discovered in pristine condition, authenticated by top grading services, it could command millions of dollars due to its extreme rarity and historical significance. Another category that drives value sky high is double die errors, which occur during the die creation process when the die receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, causing visible doubling on letters, numbers, or Lincoln's portrait. A dramatic double die obverse on a 1986 penny, especially one showing strong doubling on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date, would attract massive attention from collectors, error specialists, and investors. And while many double die varieties are modestly priced, the most dramatic and rare examples can cross into six-figure or even seven-figure territory, especially if they represent a unique or previously unknown variety. Adding to this are off-metal strikes, where the penny is struck on aluminum, steel, or even silver planchets by mistake, and while these sound unbelievable, such errors have occurred in other years, and if a genuine 1986 Lincoln cent off-metal strike were discovered and verified, its value could easily escalate into the millions due to its uniqueness and the mystique surrounding mint mistakes. Then we have the highly fascinating category of mint mark errors, particularly involving the Denver Mint, a 1986 D Lincoln penny with a misplaced mint mark, repunched mint mark, or a missing mint mark on a coin that should have won could significantly increase value, especially if the error is dramatic and rare. During this era mint marks were still punched into dies manually, which opened the door to mistakes such as double D mint marks, tilted mint marks, or mint marks punched over another. And while many minor varieties exist, a major and unique mint mark error on a 1986 penny could become a star in the numismatic world. Another extremely important possibility is a mule error, one of the rarest and most valuable mint mistakes in existence. A mule occurs when the obverse die of one coin is paired with the reverse die of a different denomination or design. Imagine a 1986 Lincoln obverse struck with a reverse never intended for a penny, such as a different memorial style or even a completely foreign or experimental reverse. Such an error would be essentially priceless, with values easily reaching millions due to its one-of-a-kind status. And then there are major strike errors like broad strikes, where the coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing it to spread outward, or multiple strikes, where the coin is struck more than once in misaligned positions, creating ghost-like images and overlapping designs. A dramatic multi-strike error on a 1986 penny, especially one combined with other anomalies, could push its value far beyond typical error coins. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to improper cutting of the metal strip, and while many clipped pennies exist, a perfectly documented and extreme example from 1986, especially one tied to other errors, could be highly desirable. Another fascinating factor is the condition of the coin, because in numismatics condition is everything. A mint state 1986 penny with a major error, preserved with full original luster and no signs of circulation, would be exponentially more valuable than a worn example. Coins graded MS-67, MS-68, or higher by professional grading services command immense premiums. And when rarity, error type, and condition converge, prices can reach unbelievable levels. Now let us talk about why collectors are willing to pay millions for such coins. Beyond the metal and the mistake, these coins represent moments when the minting system failed in a way that should not have been possible. They are physical evidence of human error, mechanical imperfection, and historical circumstance. Each major error coin tells a unique story, a snapshot of a brief second in time when something went wrong on a production line designed for perfection. And for elite collectors, owning such a piece is like owning a piece of history that no one else can replicate. The 1986 Lincoln penny also benefits from the enduring popularity of the Lincoln cent series, which is collected by millions of people around the world. This massive collector base creates intense competition whenever a rare example appears, and competition drives prices higher and higher, especially when wealthy collectors and investors enter the bidding. Another key factor is media attention and viral popularity. In the age of online auctions and video platforms, a discovery of a multi-million-dollar penny can spread globally within hours, attracting new buyers and skyrocketing demand. Stories of ordinary people finding rare pennies and pocket change capture the public imagination, and this emotional connection further fuels the market. The idea that a simple 1-cent coin could change someone's life overnight is incredibly powerful, and the 1986 Lincoln penny fits perfectly into this narrative. Now many people ask if such valuable coins are still out there, and the answer is yes. It is entirely possible, because billions of pennies were minted in 1986 and many are still in circulation, tucked away in jars, drawers, and collections. The odds are small, but not zero, and every major discovery starts with someone looking closely at a coin that everyone else ignored, checking the date, examining the mint mark, weighing the coin, inspecting the surface for doubling, cracks, or unusual textures, and understanding the difference between damage and genuine mint errors, which is crucial because only true mint errors hold significant value. This is why education is so important in coin collecting. Knowing what to look for can be the difference between spending a penny and discovering a fortune. Hidden treasures, unbelievable values, and the incredible stories that everyday pocket change can carry. Then you are absolutely in the right place, because today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and talked about Lincoln pennies ever discovered, the 1-cent 1984 D Lincoln penny, a small copper-colored coin with a simple face value of just 1 cent, yet rumored, discussed, and passionately chased by collectors worldwide for its potential worth that can reach an astonishing $7 million due to rare errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and extraordinary possibilities that separate it completely from ordinary coins. And in this video we are going to explore why this coin continues to dominate top view charts, attract massive attention, and ignite the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and everyday people who dream of finding a life-changing treasure in their pocket change. Because the story of the 1984 D Lincoln penny is not just about money, it is about history, craftsmanship, chance, and the fine line between normal production and extraordinary error. And to understand why this coin is so valuable we must first appreciate its background. The Lincoln penny itself has long been one of the most iconic coins of the United States, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, becoming the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure, and by 1984 the Lincoln cent was already deeply embedded in American daily life, minted in massive quantities, used by millions, and often overlooked. Yet within that same year at the Denver Mint, known by the D Mint mark, subtle mistakes and rare variations occurred that transformed a handful of these ordinary pennies into legendary collectibles. The Denver Mint in 1984 produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, most of them perfectly normal, copper-plated zinc coins weighing about 2.5 grams. featuring Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse. With the inscriptions "Liberty and in God We Trust," and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But what collectors soon discovered was that within this enormous production run, there were coins that did not follow the rules, coins that carried errors so dramatic and so rare that they defied expectations and sparked intense interest across the numismatic community. One of the most famous and valuable errors associated with the 1984 D Lincoln penny is the doubled die obverse, a striking mint error. Where Lincoln's ear appears doubled, often referred to as the 1984 doubled ear penny, this error occurred during the die creation process when the die received multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, resulting in a visible doubling on the coin itself. Unlike common minor doubling that can be found on many coins, this doubled ear is bold, dramatic, and unmistakable, and it instantly sets the coin apart from millions of normal pennies. Collectors can clearly see an extra lobe and thickened contours around Lincoln's ear, a feature that should never be present on a standard coin. And it is precisely this kind of dramatic visual difference that collectors crave, because it represents a moment where the minting process went wrong in a way that could not be corrected before thousands of coins were struck and released into circulation. But the doubled ear is only one part of what makes the 1984 D Lincoln penny so fascinating. Other error types and variations further elevate its potential value, including off-center strikes where the design is shifted significantly away from the center of the coin, missing letters or partial inscriptions due to grease-filled dies, clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing because the metal strip was improperly cut, and even wrong planchet errors where a penny was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Each of these errors represents a unique failure in the minting process, and while some errors are relatively common and modestly valuable, others are extraordinarily rare, and it is the combination of rarity, demand, condition, and visual impact that pushes certain specimens into the realm of million-dollar discussions. Another critical factor that contributes to the staggering potential value of the 1984 D Lincoln penny is the mint mark itself. The D mint mark indicates Denver. And while Denver produced vast quantities of pennies in 1984, not all errors are equally distributed among mints. Certain errors appear predominantly or exclusively at specific mints due to differences in equipment, quality control, and production pressures, and when a particular error variety is strongly associated with a specific mint and year, it becomes far more desirable to collectors who specialize in complete sets or rare varieties, making the 1984 D penny with major errors far more sought after than similar errors from other years. Condition plays an equally massive role in determining value. Because while an error may be rare, its worth increases exponentially when the coin is preserved in exceptional condition. Coins graded in high mint state levels with full original luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks can command prices many times higher than worn examples, and in extreme cases where a coin is nearly flawless and displays a dramatic error, auction results can skyrocket into the realm of 6 or even 7 figures, especially when multiple collectors compete aggressively for ownership. And this competitive demand is fueled by the powerful stories behind these coins, stories of people discovering them in pocket change, old jars, inherited collections, or rolls purchased from banks decades ago, stories that inspire viewers and collectors alike to search their own coins with renewed excitement. The idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth millions taps into a universal human dream, the dream that something ordinary can become extraordinary, that hidden value exists where no one expects it, and that knowledge and attention can unlock life-changing opportunities, which is why videos about the 1984 D Lincoln penny consistently attract massive views, because they blend history, mystery, and hope into a single captivating narrative. Beyond the doubled ear and other visible strike errors, collectors also carefully examine weight, metal composition, and microscopic details, because some of the most valuable errors are not immediately obvious to the naked eye. Variations in plating thickness, improper bonding of the copper layer to the zinc core, or transitional errors involving leftover planchets from previous compositions can all result in coins that behave differently under testing and analysis, and when such anomalies are confirmed by professional grading services, the value of the coin can increase dramatically. Authentication is absolutely critical in this process, because the high values associated with rare 1984 D Lincoln penny errors have also led to counterfeits, altered coins, and misattributions, making it essential for any potential discovery to be examined by reputable experts who can verify its authenticity and assign an official grade. And once a coin is certified, encapsulated, and documented, it becomes a recognized part of numismatic history, eligible to be sold at major auctions where wealthy collectors, investors, and museums compete for ownership, further driving prices upward. The market for rare coins is influenced not only by rarity but by storytelling and cultural significance, and the Lincoln penny holds a unique place in American culture, symbolizing honesty, perseverance, and unity, values associated with Abraham Lincoln himself. And when a coin bearing his image becomes associated with an incredible error and extraordinary value, it captures public imagination in a way few other collectibles can. Social media, online videos, and viral stories amplify this effect, spreading awareness and driving interest far beyond traditional collector circles, and this surge of attention feeds back into the market, increasing demand and reinforcing high valuations. The idea of a $7 million 1984 Lincoln penny represents the upper extreme of what is possible when all these factors align perfectly: an exceptionally rare error, pristine condition, strong provenance, and intense competitive demand. While not every 1984 penny will be worth a fortune, the existence of such high-value examples proves that the potential is real, and that careful searching, education, and persistence can pay off. This is why collectors continue to scrutinize pennies from this year, using magnification, digital scales, and reference materials to compare details and identify promising candidates. And it is why videos like this are so important, because they empower viewers with knowledge, encouraging them to look closer, to question assumptions, and to appreciate the incredible complexity behind something as small and seemingly insignificant as a 1-cent coin. The story of the 1984 Lincoln penny is also a reminder of the human element behind coin production. Despite advanced machinery and strict quality control, mistakes happen, and those mistakes create history. Each error coin is a snapshot of a moment when the system failed in a unique way, and once released into the world, that coin begins a journey through pockets, cash registers, jars, and collections, carrying its hidden secret until someone finally notices it. And when that discovery happens, it connects the finder to a larger story that spans decades, mints, markets, and millions of other coins, making the experience deeply personal and profoundly exciting. As values continue to evolve and new discoveries are made, where small everyday objects can secretly carry astonishing value. And in today's video we are diving deep into one of the most talked about and mysterious coins among collectors and treasure hunters alike, the 1-cent 1971 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people would overlook, spend without a second thought, or toss into a jar. Yet under very specific conditions and extraordinary combinations of errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies, this humble copper-colored coin can rise far beyond its simple face value of 1 cent and reach an unbelievable worth rumored by collectors and specialists to climb as high as $3 million. So stay with me as we explore why this coin has captured so much attention, how it was born in the turbulent era of early 1970s America, what makes the Denver Mint issues so fascinating, and most importantly how tiny imperfections, accidental variations, and rare minting mishaps can transform a common-looking Lincoln cent into a legendary piece that commands top views on YouTube and ignites imaginations across the world. Because to truly understand the value of the 1971 1-cent coin, we must first step back into history and understand the environment in which it was produced. The United States in 1971 was undergoing massive economic and social change. The Vietnam War, inflation pressures, and shifts in industrial production were affecting everything, including how coins were minted. The Lincoln Memorial Cent, first introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had by 1971 become a staple of American currency, struck in enormous quantities at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and the Denver Mint alone produced hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins that year, meaning that on the surface the 1971 penny appears extremely common. Yet as experienced collectors know, rarity is not always about low mintage numbers. It is about uniqueness, survival, condition, and above all the presence of extraordinary errors that slip through the tightly controlled yet still imperfect minting process. Because even in highly regulated environments, machines fail, humans make mistakes, dies wear down, planchets are mixed, and alignment errors occur, creating accidental varieties that were never meant to exist. And it is within these rare anomalies that the true value potential of the 1971 penny is unlocked. Starting with the mint mark itself, the small letter D located below the date on the obverse of the coin, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. While normally well-defined and consistent, in some extremely rare cases this mint mark can appear doubled, misplaced, repunched, or even partially missing due to minting errors, and a repunched mint mark, known among collectors as an RPM, occurs when the mint mark was punched into the working die more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in a shadow-like doubling effect, and certain dramatic examples of repunched D mint marks on 1971 cents are among the most sought-after varieties, especially when the doubling is bold and clearly visible to the naked eye, because this kind of error directly links the coin to a specific moment of human or mechanical error at the mint, something that cannot be reproduced and instantly sets the coin apart from millions of normal examples. But the story does not stop there, as another critical factor contributing to the staggering valuation potential of some 1971 D pennies is the presence of double die errors, which are among the most famous and desirable errors in all of American numismatics. A double die occurs when the working die itself is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing the design elements such as lettering, date, or Lincoln's portrait to appear doubled when the coin is struck, and on a true double die coin, this doubling is part of the die itself, not the result of damage or wear after the coin left the mint, making it a highly legitimate and prized mint error. And in extremely rare cases, 1971 D double die cents have been reported with noticeable doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date 1971, and even in Lincoln's facial features, and when such doubling is strong, well preserved, and verified by professional grading services, the value can increase exponentially, especially if the coin is in an exceptional state of preservation such as mint state or near perfect condition, because condition plays a massive role in coin valuation, as most 1971 pennies entered circulation immediately and suffered decades of wear, scratches, corrosion, and discoloration, making high-grade survivors incredibly scarce, and this scarcity of top-condition examples fuels competition among elite collectors who are willing to pay enormous sums for the very finest known specimens. But perhaps the most intriguing and controversial factor in discussions about multi-million-dollar penny values lies in the realm of wrong planchet errors and metal composition anomalies, because although the standard 1971 Lincoln cent was struck in a bronze composition of copper, tin, and zinc, there have been cases throughout U.S. mint history where planchets intended for other denominations or from previous years were accidentally fed into the presses, resulting in pennies struck on the wrong metal, such as aluminum experimental planchets, copper-nickel, or even planchets meant for foreign coins. And while aluminum cents were officially tested in 1974, rumors and speculative reports persist among collectors that a tiny number of experimental or transitional planchets could have been used accidentally earlier or later than intended, and if a genuine 1971 D Lincoln cent were ever confirmed to be struck on an unauthorized or experimental planchet, especially one never officially released, it would instantly become one of the most important error coins in American history, pushing its value into the realm of millions of dollars, because rarity combined with historical significance creates a perfect storm for extreme valuation, and even beyond wrong metal errors, off-metal weight discrepancies, such as underweight or overweight planchets caused by alloy mixing issues, can also add substantial value when properly authenticated, since they indicate a breakdown in the precise metallurgical controls of the mint, further reinforcing the narrative that this coin should never have existed in its observed form. And another category of errors that elevates the 1971 D penny's allure is the off-center strike, where the coin is struck while the planchet is not properly centered between the dies, resulting in part of the design being missing and a blank crescent-shaped area appearing on the coin. While minor off-center strikes are relatively common and modestly valuable, extreme off-center strikes that still show the full date and mint mark are far rarer and much more valuable, especially when combined with other errors such as double dies or die breaks. And this brings us to die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, which occur when the metal dies used to strike coins begin to crack, fracture, or break apart after extended use, transferring raised lines, blobs, or missing design elements onto the coins they strike. And late-stage die breaks, where a significant portion of the die has failed, can create dramatic and visually striking errors that are highly desirable, particularly when they alter key areas of the design like Lincoln's portrait or major inscriptions, because such errors tell a story of a die that was pushed beyond its limits, creating coins that capture the final moments of its usable life. and when a 1971 penny exhibits multiple error types simultaneously, such as a double die combined with a repunched mint mark and a dramatic die break, the value can increase not just additively but exponentially, because multi-error coins are exponentially rarer than single error examples, and collectors recognize that the probability of several independent mistakes occurring on the same coin is incredibly low, making such pieces true anomalies. And beyond the technical errors, the narrative appeal of the 1971 penny also plays a role in its perceived value, as Lincoln pennies hold a special place in American culture, with Abraham Lincoln symbolizing unity, freedom, and resilience, and the presence of the word liberty and the phrase "In God We Trust" on the coin adds emotional and patriotic weight that resonates strongly with collectors and the general public alike, making stories of valuable Lincoln cents particularly compelling and shareable, which is why videos about rare Lincoln pennies consistently generate top views on YouTube, as people are drawn to the idea that a simple coin in their pocket or drawer could be worth a life-changing amount of money. And this viral appeal further amplifies demand, as more people search their change, more stories circulate, and more collectors enter the market hoping to discover the next great rarity. And market psychology plays a critical role here, because coin values are not determined solely by metal content or age, but by what knowledgeable buyers are willing to pay at a given time. And when a coin achieves near mythical status due to extreme rarity, documented sales, or even serious offers rumored among private collectors, its market value can skyrocket, especially if the coin is held privately and not readily available for purchase, creating a sense of mystery and exclusivity that fuels speculation. And while not every 1971 penny is worth millions, the possibility that one could be, under the right circumstances, is enough to drive intense interest.